everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and look, it's Austin, the Day Ghost.
Dun, 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 dun. How's it going?
And that sound means that we started too late. Tonight, Austin and I are going to do another watch party for you. And if you're watching live, thanks for staying up so late with us. We did a request earlier that we thought was going to go shorter than normal. And of course, I'm long-winded and had more to say about that movie than I thought I would. So we're still keeping up what we promised and doing a watch party, but now we're much more delirious than we were before.
Yep. Well, I'm not going to be around on Friday, and I'm contractually obligated to make 2 weekly appearances, so...
Okay, that's not true. I just thought we would have extra time. It'd be fun, so I invited Austin to do another thing. But that is part of why I thought maybe we should do one of these mini marathons or watch parties. I'm not calling this a mini marathon because we're only watching 3 episodes. Usually we do 4 or 5, but we're making this one shorter. So we're just going to broadcast for an hour or so, and at least that's how long the episodes are. We'll see what happens in between, but we'll try not to go too much longer. It's getting late. Anyway, so we weren't sure what we wanted to do tonight. We kicked a lot of things around, and finally I was like, well, maybe we should do a marathon or some kind of commentary thing, since we're not doing that on Friday. Quick plug, by the way, Ty and I are going to be doing another drawing stream on Friday, and I'm not really much of an artist, but I've been getting back to the kind of art that I was making years and years ago when I was like in high school, Austin, and doing abstract stuff. So I'm actually going to draw on Friday. I'm going to do some abstract stuff, and
oh my god.
I might do some painting with Power Ranger figures too. I don't know yet, but anyway, Ty is going to be taking requests that night, and so pop in for that because you might be able to get Ty to draw something really cool for you. He's an amazing artist. He's doing Spawnville for me, and he might show you some new artwork from that as well. So check us out. That's going to be 10 o'clock Central Time Friday night. Anyway, quick plug for that. That's what we're doing in lieu of Austin not being there, and we'll see Austin again soon enough, I am sure, but he's here now, and we're going to watch some Superman the Animated Series. I put out my feelers to see what people wanted us to watch tonight. When we finally decided we were watching something, got a lot of good suggestions. Thanks to everybody who participated in that. But somebody mentioned this, and I realized I've never done any commentary material, and really hardly any material at all on this show. I started doing a watch through of this, Austin, at one point to do season overviews on it, and never got around to actually doing those. And that was like a year and a half ago.
How many seasons does the show have?
3.
Because I'm not familiar with this show like almost at all.
Yeah,
I know like some stuff through cultural osmosis, but the only DCAU show I've ever watched is Batman.
Yeah, which you're real remiss on, man. You're gonna have to watch some more DCAU because most of it's quite good.
Well, I want to get the Blu-ray set for Superman because they put that out pretty recently.
I do too. I haven't upgraded to Blu-rays for hardly anything in my collection. I still don't have the Batman one, and that's getting pretty cheap, I'm seeing. I think you can get it for 40 or 45 now.
Yeah, that's what I have. I'm starting to like upgrade to 4K now. I'm already at that point.
I have crappy eyesight. I don't have to do that. I'm good. None of my projectors aren't 4K. Like, I'm good.
I just got this. Okay, this is just an ego thing that I'm about to show off. But hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh, all right. We'll see you later.
I just got this freaking sweet 4K Evil Dead set this week.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. It's just the first 2 movies and the TV show because Army of Darkness tied up the right stuff. But it's pretty awesome.
That thing is crazy town.
Mm-hmm. I got the Ghostbusters one recently too. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like the ghost trap and it opens up and it's got the 3 Ghostbusters movies.
I haven't seen it open up. I didn't know it did that.
Yeah, here it's since I'm doing this apparently now.
Sure, yeah. Now it's turning into a video on DJ's channel. We're just showing off pieces of our Blu-ray collections.
Yeah, it opens up like that.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I've only seen it in the shrink wrap.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And then Paul Feig threw a fit, so they put in the 2016 movie digitally if you buy it.
Are you serious?
Yep.
That's amazing. I thought you were just making a joke.
No. They announced it, and then on Twitter he was like, "Hey, I made a Ghostbusters movie. If this is like the full thing, why isn't that in there?" So then people threw like started getting mad about it, so they just put it in digitally.
That's awesome. I love everything about that. Anyway,
it's fantastic.
let's watch some Superman. So it's crazy to me, Austin, that you've never seen this show.
Yeah, well, most of the Superman stuff I've seen at this point has been through you. Because we've done like 5 Superman shows that we've talked about. I'd never seen any of the Christopher Reeve movies until I met you. We watched, I think, 2 together. Or the first one.
I think we watched the first one together. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the 2. That was my first time seeing that.
We did a Lois and Clark episode.
Yeah,
we did a review
2
of
Superboy.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We started Superman and Lois. Yeah, the first episode of that.
We did a discussion on that. And
an episode of Smallville.
And I made you watch an episode of Smallville. Yeah, well, I say I made you. Those were back when we used to do the wheel spin. Most of that came up there. So like, it wasn't even me trying to make you watch Superman.
No, it just kept happening. The wheel really liked Superman.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the viewers didn't, so nobody watched it.
Yeah, but it was worth doing. Like, it got you a little bit more acclimated to some Superman, and I remember you enjoying the majority of what we ended up watching. So,
no, I've really learned that I like Superman quite a bit through stuff like that. Because, yeah, like I saw Superman Returns as a kid. It was one of the I've only seen 3 movies in IMAX, and that was the first one. Was Superman Returns.
Crazy.
Yeah, and as a kid, it was like, this is like mind blowing. This movie's awesome. And then I got it for DVD for Christmas, and it was like, this doesn't watch well. And
that was the universal response to that movie. We all liked it when it came out. It's so weird. Like, there was just this, I guess, the spectacle to it.
Yeah, no, like seeing it, on this like giant screen as a kid, it was like, whoa, like Superman saving this plane and stuff. This is amazing. And like he's picking up the island at the end. And then you watch it again, like as a kid, you're watching it and you're like, cruddy little small TV. It's like, oh, this movie kind of sucks.
You got to give Bryan Singer, the problem with that movie wasn't what it looked like.
Which is funny because I find Bryan Singer typically looks like a TV director, but you're right. Like that's not
that
really
movie did not.
That movie. Yeah,
he's real hit and miss as a director. You're right, but I don't think you could say X2 looks like a TV show either. I mean, like he's got some.
Yeah,
some of
stuff that like
some of his movies are pretty cinematic. Yeah.
No, that is true. And then like some of his other stuff isn't, like his Jack and the Beanstalk movie.
Anyway, we came to watch some animated Superman, so we're going to do that. We're going to watch all 3 episodes of the 3-part pilot, which was a really ambitious thing this show did, and not to get too much into review before we start, but it kind of patterned itself a little bit off of the Donner, the original Donner movie, in that it's got that 3-act structure and plays like in Epic in a similar way, where the first episode is Krypton, and although I guess it's a little bit different than that, because if memory serves, I think maybe the first 2 episodes are kind of Krypton. I can't remember. I guess we'll watch it and find out. I had it in my head that it's kind of that same 3-act structure, but I don't actually know if that's true, because it's just been I guess I was watching this like a year and a half ago. But here's what's weird about the show. I love it. I think it's wonderful. In some ways, I think it's actually better than Batman the Animated Series, even though I like that show more. Just in the consistency of it, like the quality of the show is so on par all the time. It's nuts. But it never sticks with me real well. Like, I really like it, but I always have to go back and look at pieces of it before any of it comes back to me. And I don't know what that is.
Because Batman's a great show, but it like really ebbs and flows. Like,
yeah,
we remember the great stuff about Batman. There's a lot of stuff that's like remember the Nostradamus episode where it's
Uh-huh.
or stuff like that, or like the Underdweller.
But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So get it to timestamp 0. Make sure you're watching the first part of this 3-part epic opening for Superman the Animated Series. It's, of course, The Last Son of Krypton, Part 1. You can watch it on HBO Max, or if you get out your DVDs, Blu-ray, or I'm assuming that hasn't been 4K yet. Is it just Blu-ray at this point?
Yeah. Oh, it only just got Blu-ray. We'll get 4K in like 12 years.
Get it
when
past
they run to the next format.
Get it past all your menus and get ready to press play when I say now. Here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
So since we talked about Returns, Cap, my buddy Doolittle on the Discord was telling me about Superman Returns, like the sequel. Do you know what their plans for that was?
Remind me, because I know I've heard things.
So apparently Superman would have killed his son in that movie because his son would have been like, I think mind controlled or something, and he would have killed Lex Luthor, and then he would have been evil, and then Superman would have had to kill him. Like imagine
That's
that
crazy.
Is like a franchise. Like he's a deadbeat dad in the first one, and then he like Man of Steel breaks his son's neck in the second one. That's nuts. Anyways, real Superman.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised it's not the Williams theme. I didn't realize this had its own theme. I assumed it was like Batman.
It does, and it's really good. I think the reason it doesn't have that theme is because, well, if memory serves, I think that Superman cartoon in the 80s used it. Am I right about that? I'm free. The Ruby Spears one? I forget because I've only seen one episode of that one time. I thought it did. But also, this is not a tie-in or linked to those movies, of course, in any way. Like, they're long done by this point. And the original Tim Burton movie, of course, was kind of the reason that show got made. So, like, they're trying to get people to watch it, so they use that theme. And, I mean, it's still, like, a different variation on that theme. It's, like it's got that melody, but, Shirley Walker's doing her own thing with it.
Well, and she has her own Batman theme in the show, too.
That's
just,
true.
like, the big, intro theme. I just figured this show would kind of be looking at those movies a lot more than they probably are.
But she is approaching it in a similar way to Williams, in that it's still got that 3-syllable thing where you could sing Superman along with it. That's clearly into Superman, like really clearly we're doing the same thing that Williams did with it. Draven G, I have seen the documentary about Superman Lives, or I should say, something I saw 2/3 of it, never finished it. I don't know why. I need to get back to that finally. But
Yeah,
Connor
really
gave me a
like to
copy of that
watch
when he
that.
was here a couple of years ago. Say again?
I'd really like to watch that documentary. Everything I learned about that movie, I think, is just kind of fascinating.
It is.
That is one of those movies I really wish we had.
I meant to review that when it came out, and I've still never talked about it on the channel, so... We keep stacking up things we want to talk about, Austin, but maybe down the road at some point we'll watch that together and talk
definitely.
about it.
Because you have like the giant spider thing with John Peters, which I always knew about, but I didn't know until recently that their way of including that was that Brainiac would have had like a spider body with like Brainiac's head on it.
Yes.
And they built the props for it, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually not a bad way to go.
No, if that's obviously like a producer force thing, like that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Like it looks cool.
I don't think anybody would have been like, why is there a giant spider all of a sudden? Like, it's just a weird alien thing. And we put stuff on spindly legs all the time in things.
And it like looks really good with that kind of bird-y aesthetic, I think. Because it looks a lot like some of the creature stuff in Beetlejuice in his face.
So, Austin, one of the reasons that I get tired of Brainiac reveals in things so often is because It's never the version that I like the most, which is this. This is my absolute favorite Brainiac of all time. And it just never gets as good as this again. And I always want Brainiac to be a Kryptonian invention after this. And it's weird to say that because I think, especially by Smallville and some other Superman things down the road, we get to a place where freaking everything you've ever heard of that's alien has to be because of Krypton. Doomsday has to be a Kryptonian invention, like freaking everything. But the idea that Brainiac was originally developed to be a computer that runs the world and then is connected to the destruction of Krypton, as we'll find in this, was friggin' genius. And it immediately has a tie to Superman and his heritage and everything, and in making him a big bad for Superman. And in some ways, next to Lex Luthor, I guess he's kind of the big bad of the show in certain ways. It's a really smart move. I love it.
Well, that was a big thing people wanted for continuing like the Man of Steel stuff, because they have the Kryptonian robots in that movie. A lot of people wanted it to be revealed to be Brainiac.
That's a really good point. Is the Man of Steel Krypton reminds me of this Krypton probably more than anything.
Oh yeah. Just like in generally, or do you think visually too?
Yeah, even visually.
Oh, okay, interesting.
They don't have these super spiffy couches though.
Well, they got like Avatar dragons.
Exactly. Daniel Davis, Tony J. Yeah, he's here. Got Chairface himself.
But it's so crazy that we haven't gotten a movie with Brainiac. And then whenever you look into Superman movies that almost happen, they almost always have Brainiac as the villain. Like, it's like he's a curse. Like, the second you go, okay, Brainiac's going to be the main villain of our Superman movie, your movie doesn't go through. It's really interesting.
Well, you kind of got to blame Donner for that, right? Because we had this really obscure Superman villain in Zod that was in a couple of comics that nobody really knew about, and then he got really popular because of that movie, so we can't stop going back to him. So now we're in this place where when people think of, when, like, general audiences think of Superman villains, you know, obviously, we talk about this a lot, but Superman doesn't have that popular rogues gallery like a Batman or a Spider-Man. It's Lex and Zod. Everybody's like, God, when can we get past those characters? And if we hadn't done Zod, it might have been Brainiac back then. Like,
so instead of Donner, I'm going to put it to Lester and whoever did 4, because in 3 you have like an evil computer.
Which could have been, and everybody's always said could have been Brainiac, yeah.
And then 4 you have evil Superman who could have just been Bizarro. Like, it's...
Well, no, evil Superman was also 3.
No, I mean with Nuclear Man.
Oh, Nuclear Man, okay, yeah. That's true. No, that's true. Both of those characters easily could have been comic book characters.
Yeah, exactly. And then every time we go back to it, we always go back to Lex or we go back to Zod.
Yeah, well, and those first couple of decades of where you had some superhero movies, that was, like, 3 was becoming kind of that curse where the movie, like we're getting toward the end of a franchise and the movie's not good, but also the villain is super freaking lame. And often made up. Like, you had this with Turtles 3, and Blade Trinity kind of had it, and...
Yeah, well, and Superman 3 is also still the only Superman movie I haven't seen. I still got to go back to that one.
Oh, wow, yeah. But you watched Superman 4 with me.
Yep. Superman 4 is awesome. Superman 4 is my 3rd favorite Superman movie. But also at the same time, that's not saying anything, because you got, like, Man of Steel.
There aren't a lot of great Superman movies, unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately. Like, those first 2 are amazing, and then 4 is amazing. I still have to see 3. But...
And you've never seen the Donner cut. Like, you're saying that about the Lester version.
Yeah, well, I like the Superman 2 slightly over the first one. I know that's, like...
kind of blasphemy, but I get why you're saying. Terrence Stamp is too good, is the problem.
That's a big part of it. Superman is the first movie is a better complete package, because there's some stuff in 2 where I'm like, I don't know why you did that. But there's
too much of that movie takes place in a tiny town for this big epic.
Well, I'm mainly thinking of stuff like that weird moment where they all start teleporting in the Fortress of Solitude.
I know.
But it also has some of the best stuff in either of those movies, like when Superman throws his symbol. That's the best thing ever put to screen.
No, Jor-El did not make a mistake. He's Jor-El. The world is going to end.
At least we know this version of Jor-El won't get stabbed before the world explodes.
These Kryptonian suits, particularly what Jor-El and his wife are wearing, is real early 90s Superman comic designs for outfits, where you always had to have these like weird like pieces of metal or patches like all over a costume.
Yeah,
we did that a lot. It really looks like a Jurgens design to me.
Well, and I was gonna say he's got like the Thor, the like gold like circles around his cape, and Jurgens obviously. I think didn't he do Superman or Thor at one point?
Did he?
Am I thinking of somebody else?
I'm not sure. He might have.
Probably because his name is Brainiac. It rhymes with maniac.
Why'd you guys name him that? Names are always prophetic.
It's like if you named your group the Decepticons, and then you were surprised that they deceived you.
Yeah, it's kind of a risk maybe to, introduce Brainiac right away like this, as just this computer that kind of runs the planet and that Jor-El is working with, because anybody remotely familiar with Superman right away is going to go, okay, well, I know where this is going. Like, Brainiac has to be somehow responsible in some way or another for the destruction of Krypton. And I don't know, the whole thing worked. Like, it's one of those things where it's almost, as somebody that even as a kid knew enough about Superman to know that, it was almost more compelling and more engaging because of that. Because you're like, okay, well, that's a twist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's also cool because you're giving Brainiac like a HAL 9000 kind of appearance in his first appearance.
Well, listen to his voice. That's exactly what we're doing.
No, exactly. When you have the blinking lights, like you're just kind of going like, let's go to like something cinematically cool for robots, because obviously we do go back to HAL 9000 a lot, but just like instantly in your kind of kids cartoon, it's like, okay, like Brainiac's cool like already.
Well, and you could even complain that they're repeating themselves with Hardak, because Hardak also had that.
Yeah, I mean the difference was Hardak.
I like Hardak more than most, I guess, but like they both kind of work for their own purposes, I think. Mm-hmm. There's also very much a Star Wars thing going on with the architecture, and particularly the interiors here with Krypton, where you have these impossibly and pointlessly large rooms with like all these. These places where you could easily fall off and die because there's no handrails, where you have these like long, narrow bridges.
No, we're just kind of looking at like everything sci-fi. Like it's instantly recognizable while also being its own thing. Like it's got that kind of quality.
And really 90s, like I said, but I think still holds up pretty well. Although, like I was there, that's my era. Like it's easy for me to get set in my ways and not have a sense of what like a kid looking at this now would feel about it. Like, does this look super dated, to a kid looking at it now? I guess I don't know.
Well, I don't even know what kids think of Superman now. Like, we live in such a weird world.
Yeah, I agree. AMC Comics, so do you all like Brainiac better as an android or as a colon? Or how do you pronounce it? I can't remember anymore. I forget. But no, I go for the android thing much more so.
Yeah.
He's got blood on his face. Did you see that?
Oh no, I missed it. I don't know, but the way you said colon made me. It reminded me of that video I sent you where it's like, the use of a colon can dramatically change your sentence.
Yeah, Fidelio, I say 90s just with visuals.
Yeah, like it's a very like 90s sci-fi.
Yeah, it's just as far as the kind of futurism of it. But of course, real quickly, we're gonna go to Earth in present day, and ironically, it's gonna feel a little bit more timeless, I think.
Oh, he does have blood.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How did they get away with that?
I know. 96. So, I think around the exact same time as Morbius is going plasma.
Plasma.
Well, that guy had a
Morbius
really exaggerated facial
even now
expression. You
can't
see
have
that?
blood.
Fidelio, I could see concept art for something like that in the 50s. I could find you some 90s comics, particularly some Superman stuff, that looks real similar to this that I was not seeing in earlier decades. I'm talking more about wardrobe than anything, I think, though, to be fair.
Well, in some of their like these people's outfits, they look like the cards from the Disney Alice in Wonderland, like with how like rectangular they are.
Yeah, good call. Also really appreciate the color scheme of their Krypton in differentiating it from Donner and other versions, where it's... I don't know, I'm trying to think of good examples.
I'm glad you brought that up because the second you said it,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this recently, but there was some concept art that came out recently of the Superman Flyby, the Brett Ratner Superman movie that was written by J.J. Abrams, and their Krypton must have been looking at this because it was very rocky and it had like that kind of a look where like buildings were built into like giant rock walls.
Oh, that's cool. I need to look at that.
Yeah, I can send it to you after.
Yeah, as far as the spaceships and stuff, like and these like glider things. I'm definitely seeing the like 50s sci-fi influence, of course. We're looking back at...
There's some Jetsons going on.
Yeah, and just, period serials and that kind of thing.
You got like an army of RoboCops.
And somehow we haven't said the word Fleischer yet, but it's important to note that, Batman the Animated Series starts from this idea with Bruce Timm of let's make it like Fleischer, and it was almost even a lot more like Fleischer. And so when they go to Superman, they're like, we had a design that really harkened back to that, and we don't want to make it too much that, but now we're straight up doing Superman. So obviously those influences are still there, and I think they worked really hard to make it not too noticeable, and yet, you can still really see it.
Fidelio, if you think just Brett Ratner and J.J. Abrams makes that movie bad, you don't know about Superman Flyby.
I haven't looked into that in a long time.
That was like very Matrix inspired, where they were gonna have like Kryptonian kung fu that they all did.
Oh,
and
no.
Lex Luthor was gonna be like a Kryptonian spy. Like just everything I've heard about that movie is just wrong.
I don't remember any of that. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, Superman's outdated, so we gotta change everything about it.
Yeah, well, and the guy who wrote that script is now producing the next Superman movie.
Oh. The one with the different protagonists?
I don't think we know. I think people have kind of gone back and forth on if it's supposed to be Clark Kent or if it's going to be Henry Cavill, a new actor. I don't think anybody.
Oh, weird. I thought it was really pretty definitively clear that it was that if Coates was doing it, it had to be a black Superman. But
I think that was all just people assuming that.
I thought there were clear quotes from him saying that, though.
Maybe.
When we talked about it on the
was
channel, I thought I was
he's,
reading direct quotes from him
assumptions.
talking about how important it was to him to do a Black Superman, but it's been a while. I don't remember,
Yeah.
what exactly. And we've dated this commentary now.
Well, I mean, J.J. Abrams has announced like 60,000 things that he's producing at WB, and none of them have gotten any further development.
Busted Sims says, "What mother leaves their baby to be willingly orphaned?"
Any good parent. I don't even need my planet to be exploding for me to launch my baby into space. I would just do that for kicks. Oh, I like the look of the like green explosion.
That's awesome.
That's very different.
Yeah. And really smart, because obviously that's the color of the rock, Slater.
Oh, true, yeah.
Like, it should be green. And I also like, I meant to say this earlier, I also like the different colors of landscapes and stuff where it looks so alien and not like Earth at all. Because it's like, what kind of planet would give you these like green irradiated rocks? I mean, maybe the idea is that it wouldn't be green in the first place. And like, I don't think the planet was green before that happened. But you've got like all these different weird colors of landscape and stuff where you would have. And that's the first episode. Like, that's super cool that that's where we end. Where like
That's awesome.
You don't even have an adult, a like kid Superman yet. Like, you're not even at Earth yet. The entire first 20 minutes is just the destruction of Krypton. It's wonderful. Maybe I am remembering the structure more correctly than I was afraid I was. But anyway, I'm just saying that like you have a different element than you do on Earth, and so it's cool that you've got like purples and.
Well, and I also like because
Daniel Davis, the score at the end there is boss. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh, just because we tied it to Brainiac and Brainiac's 3 glowing orbs. I do kind of like that it blows up green, just for like because of that.
That's a good point. I mean, I was just thinking, kryptonite, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you kind of obviously like that's a big part of it too. But I like the because they mixed it with Brainiac, that it's also his color.
Yeah, they're real intentional with all that. We were talking over, and again, I don't know these episodes as well as I wish I did. And we're doing this blind tonight, so we didn't know what we were watching, so I've not prepared for this. But if there was any explanation for why the parents couldn't come with him this time and why they had to send him off by himself, I missed it. Because I'm always interested in like, how do we explain that away? Because that's always the most contrived part of the origin of Superman.
Of course.
Is how do you get the one kid off the planet in a rocket where nobody else will fit in it? But yeah, I forget how the show handles that. I'm sure somebody will remind us in the comments.
Then you have the one guy that's like, "Oh, I got my dog Crypto. I'm gonna put him in my rocket."
Yeah, that would be a really funny, like, kind of parody thing to do with Superman, where you just have a bunch of, like, I don't know, like windows on the screen, and you're seeing like as Krypton's blowing up, like all these different people putting kids and things in rockets, just all at the same time.
Yeah, it could look like that shot from
Just
Batman
split it off in
Forever with the
panels.
box, where you have like all the different kids and then the one dog.
AMC, there are some early sketches by Tim and Company that looked very Fleischer designs for the show, fitting in with the Batman TAS. You can see them on Watchtower Database. Okay. Buzzasim, Jarrell literally told the mom there was room in the rocket, and she chose to stay. That's what he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it definitely looks big enough that you could put more than just the baby in it. Yeah, why'd you do that, Laura?
Laura, more like, no.
All right, let's go ahead and watch the second part. Make sure at timestamp 0, part 2 of Last Son of Krypton, and here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
I was sending you this concept art while we were doing this.
Oh, okay, cool. Draven G, I wonder why this show never did have crypto. That's a great question. They might have just felt like it was a bridge too far. And crypto was not a thing in the 90s we were really dealing with too much. Actually, I think I might have a good explanation for you, which is this was during a period where there was kind of an embargo from editorial at DC on the comic side from doing too much Kryptonian stuff apart from Superman himself. So, they were really obsessed with the literal last son of Krypton during this period. So Lois and Clark deals with it. This show deals with it. Whenever you did have Kryptonians that would show up later, it was a big deal because they weren't allowed to do very much of that. And so it's like serious Bible stuff. Superman has to be the last son of Krypton. We make an exception for Supergirl, and that's mostly it. So the idea that there would be also a Kryptonian dog flying around, that's probably why they didn't have that, because they wanted it to be the actual last son of Krypton, to the point where they titled the pilot then.
Well, and I've heard
that's right. Razzie Man says this is why Supergirl is goo in the 90s. That's right. That's why you have Matrix Supergirl. That's right. She's not actually Kryptonian. That's not the Kara Zor-El version.
They were going to say this is why Supergirl works alone.
This is why Supergirl's not Kryptonian. So yeah, you got your 3 acts. Now we're in the Smallville portion. Look at the size of that spaceship.
You just fill the storage spot with blueberries?
Yeah, his ship is a lot bigger than it usually is. In things. I like that it's like a practical rocket, though. It's got jets and stuff. That is very 50s-esque.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just used to a much more kind of angular Superman rocket that looks more aerodynamic.
For the next version, they should make his rocket look like the Superman crest, where he just flies away in that.
Well, they did that in Smallville. It's my
that's right. Yeah,
it's my favorite version. Yeah, I love that. What's weird is it doesn't look like that in the pilot. They had this kind of makeshift prop that they had to throw together real quick, and then later on they just were we hope nobody notices that now we have a cool looking one. But yeah, you've seen it because you watched the Christopher Reeve episode.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that.
It works because that thing makes it look aerodynamic. It looks like the right shape for a spaceship. It's awesome. Who would put a baby in a spaceship? A mother that wants to die, apparently. This is what we're learning from Busted Sim.
I'd put a baby in a spaceship just for fun.
You know what? Coming from a father, I'm offended.
Hey, you have a whole bunch of children you can put in that spaceship.
I gotta build a big enough spaceship to put all of my children in. But not enough for me or my wife.
And tight.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a voice that's in every Fox cartoon in the 90s. And quite a few commercials for Fox cartoons. I think that might be the voice of Dot from Animaniacs again. I'm not sure. I think that's who that is. Me,
yesterday I learned, because she showed up in the Morbius episodes we watched.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
And I think in that video we also say that the show doesn't have a Liz Allen. Apparently that's who that's supposed to be.
Oh.
Yeah, it was just like Mary Jane's friend.
Okay. So this is always...
Martha, you can't just steal a baby from a spaceship in a lake.
This is always my preferred version of the Clark-Lana relationship, and obviously Smallville takes this as far in the other direction as possible by making it 6 seasons before she's allowed to find out. Here, immediately when we introduce this character, it's Clark telling her that she's figuring out he's got superpowers.
What do you mean? That's just Batgirl.
Just right away.
Not Lana Lang. It's Barbara Gordon.
Oh,
Clearly.
okay. There's this thing where a lot of girls in Bruce Timm things sort of look the same.
Look, there's Harley Quinn.
Oh, you must be a little bit behind me.
Oh, am I?
Because
Okay.
I almost made that joke like a minute ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I just saw an explosion of a gas station, and I don't think you're to that yet.
No, Barbara Gordon's walking away from Clark right now.
My
While he goes-
timestamp is 5:59.
Mine is 6:04. So I don't know what's going on.
What is happening?
Did you have a like previously on at the beginning?
No.
Okay, the DVDs do. So
Oh,
why?
okay. That's what it is. They're expecting you to binge it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I can try to go back to where you are, but I think the majority of people are with me right now.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're only like a little bit off. It's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
We've mostly just been talking about just random Superman stuff, anyways.
I'm trying to respond to some of what we're seeing.
Oh my god, it's the Flash. A minute ago for you, though.
Yeah, this is going to be real darn awkward.
At least we know now. Next episode, I'll fast forward past the recap.
Oh, okay, thanks.
This is really making me want to go back and watch the Donner movies, though.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to go through them again for like the last few months.
Yeah, because you've only seen them the one time.
Yeah, and I didn't watch the Donner cut then because I didn't want to watch them back to back because I figured that'd be a little like too awkward if they're too close together. So
it's
Sometimes
kind of
that.
weird that they're treating Clark almost like a mutant in Marvel with this, where he's just now figuring out all of his powers. It seems like, I don't know if it's convenient timing, but it's kind of strange that when they find him as a baby, they're hinting at super strength, because he grabs Jonathan's finger and he's like, ow. And then now he's like, oh, look how fast I can run and I'm seeing through things. And like, Smallville plays up the puberty thing, but he's got powers pretty clearly before that, and there's just more powers that are manifesting like as he's getting older. And here it seems like most of them just kind of all happen at the same time, kind of like if he was a mutant.
yeah, that is pretty strange.
Maybe there's
This
other
show-
versions that do that, but
Yeah. If I were to do Superman, he would start with like the baseline powers as a baby. And then once he hits like that puberty age, he would just gain the ability to shoot little Superman out of his hand, like in the 70s comic. And that's the only puberty power he would get.
and by the age of 40, now he can juggle planets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I just really want like a Superman movie where you get like, let's say Henry Cavill, because he was like the last one. You get like Henry Cavill and he holds his hand out, and then like Peter Dinklage Superman shoots out.
I like that he's got Kryptonian technology that beams information directly into his head. That's also a thing that Smallville does.
Unknown Passenger says
And I like that
it's very. Oh, sorry, go
Krypton's
ahead.
advanced enough to do that kind of thing.
No, that is pretty cool.
I'm sorry, what was he saying?
Oh, he says that he has a very unpopular opinion that the original Superman is his favorite superhero movie. I don't know. That's
Maybe it's
Pretty
less
funny.
popular now just because we've had a lot of stuff that people think is decent or brilliant since then, but you're not alone.
It's definitely up there.
I think that's true of, and I'm not calling you an old person, but I think that's true of still of a lot of people, older than my generation would still say. There's a lot of people that wouldn't put anything that's come out since then above it.
Yeah, well, it's still Kevin Feige's favorite superhero movie,
Even by,
and he made Ant-Man and the Wasp, and even he thinks that.
Even by the period that we had Dark Knight, I don't think that Ebert would have put anything above the original Dawn of Superman.
Well, then, yeah.
And he gave Begins 4 stars.
Yeah. Because, like, Logan's a really good movie, but in, like, that 2017 year, I would still rather watch, like, Homecoming or Guardians 2 over Logan. But then at that point, it's just a matter of taste.
It becomes a taste thing, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because, you know, let's say, like, the Batman is what I want from Batman. The original Superman is what I want from Superman. Like, those two are, like, neck and neck, but are very different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those characters. Because, like, for me, I don't know. Like, Christopher Reeve just is Superman. He's the best, like, on-screen casting choice we've ever had in a comic book thing. Like,
for anybody, yeah.
Yeah. Because he is Superman, and like no, I don't think anybody else has captured it the way that he does.
I just gotta say, I appreciate that we took the time here. I mean, the show is making a really good case for let's really open up the origin and make it take 3 episodes. In having a whole, like, I don't know, 1.5, 2 minute scene of just Clark, like, having so much joy in learning to fly. And I like the idea that that power is the thing that like very quickly turns him around in not being as afraid about being different, or at least, you know, being able to come to a place where he can embrace that he you know, that he is an alien and isn't like everybody else, because it would be really easy to have a character like this. And, you know, I've seen this in a lot of stuff, of course. Smallville is sometimes guilty of it, where a character like that as a teenager will just get real super whiny about it to the point where it's hard to sympathize with him, even if you understand why he feels that way. And so I just love the way that's handled, where he has this conversation with his parents and he's like, God, I'm so different, and I always felt different, but now I know I am. And then here's, like, the craziest, potentially scariest power you have, and everybody has always wanted to be able to do that. And as soon as he's got that, he's like, you know what? It's not so bad. Like, I'll figure out how to deal with it. I can freaking fly. And just to like spend that much time on just the joy of flying, immediately you go, okay, these people get this character.
Well, yeah, it reminded me a lot of that part of Man of Steel, except this is Superman, and like, it's just done way better. Like, that was a really fun sequence.
Well, and I love that in Man of Steel, and you get kind of, you know, blindsided by it, where you're like, oh, there's, like, some humanity in this for a second, and then, oh, we gotta go blow up an IHOP.
Yeah, Superman's gonna throw Zod through, like, 8,000 civilians.
Busted Sim, it must be an important scene. They took the effort to animate his clothes rippling.
Exactly. That also reminded me, though, I forgot to tell you this when we did the JLA Avengers book. So I was listening to the original Superman score while I was reading that.
Yeah.
And I'd only seen that movie once, so I'm just reading it, and I got completely jump scared, where as I'm reading, all of a sudden I hear, "Can you read my mind?" And I was
do you know all the things that I've been thinking of?
Yeah, because I'm like pitch black in my room, no lights on, reading this book, and all of a sudden I hear
that's so good!
It made my spine tingle. Jimmy, how tall are you? Like 4'3"?
I think you mean how short is he?
Oh yeah, exactly.
So somebody at the beginning of this mentioned that Dana Delaney is his favorite Lois Lane.
I've always heard that with the show, that this is like one of the big ones.
I love her casting. I've talked about her some with the Batman Superman movie, or the 5-part story they did in the show, 4 or 5 parts, and she is, of course, Phantasm. Mask of the Phantasm, and I guess they liked her work in as Andrea Beaumont so much. It took me a minute to think of her name. That they put her here too. So when I was a kid, like I'd seen Phantasm before this came out, of course, and it was just really weird hearing her again. Like I kept expecting Lois Lane to turn out to be the bad guy.
Oh, apparently their Jimmy is Danny Phantom.
Oh wow, crazy! I didn't know that.
Now that theme stuck in my head, so thank you.
So does anybody else really like introducing
like
Lex Luthor in front of a giant robot? Like that's a good choice. That feels like foreshadowing somehow. Oh, and this might be a stretch, but the LexCorp logo reminds me of the logo from the company in RoboCop.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to look out for that when I see it next. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm like a minute behind you.
Yeah. All I can think of is Omnicorp, but that's...
I only just got Lex.
Yeah. That's the problem with this, is I can't talk about anything.
No, it's all good. I was at least looking at the robot. That's why I forgot that I was behind.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on Clancy Brown. This was my favorite Lex until we got to Smallville.
Well, Clancy Brown's the man. I can't believe that Marvel wasted him twice.
Yeah. And then, of course, we introduce the Superman suit in exactly the right way. I love that you don't see it before he, pulls the shirt. Like, it's so traditional in exactly the right way. It's got so much reverence for the good stuff that came before. There's a lot of Donner in this, but there's also quite a bit of George Reeves in this. And, obviously Fleischer in particularly the action and just the way Superman carries himself when he's in costume. And in that we gotta do a giant robot right away. Josh put in a $5 super chat. Thanks, man. I love the show. They almost went full Fleischer 1940s with the show, and while I'd have loved that, I'm happy they went with the style they went with. Me too. Partly just because it's easier to swallow that it's supposed to be in the same universe as Batman, and obviously continuity is not king, but like context. But it is nice retroactively looking back at it that we did set up a multiverse of sorts, a shared universe of sorts, where it was easy to put all these things together if you wanted to be able to get to a Superman and Batman team up, and then a Justice League, etc., etc. I think
this is more like how I think you should do a DC cinematic universe, and that they're very separate, and then they just kind of come together.
Yeah. And it's like, well, they could exist in the same world, but it just doesn't matter that they do for the longest time. They're not looking for ways to shoehorn in references. I don't think there's one thing in this pilot that goes, we're in the same universe as Batman. Like, put yourself in the shoes of kids watching this at the time, and they either wouldn't know or wouldn't care, like, is this in the same universe as Batman? Like, you could kind of, just looking at it, tell the same people are making it.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a similar art style, but, like, brightened up because it's Superman.
Yeah.
But that was Josh who said that. That's Doolittle, who is my guide on Superman. Oh, interesting. They based Josh just said they based their Blofeld on based their Lex on Blofeld.
I didn't know that.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Wow. It would have
on
been kind of
Kelsey
fun to have a
Wallace. That's
Lex
really
that was
interesting.
constantly carrying a cat, but then I think it would have been too obvious. Maybe you can't do that.
Well, doesn't this version of Lex have like a female henchwoman?
Yes, so that's Mercy.
Because Blofeld does in that movie. So that's, but I don't think they look anything.
And in the moment right now, I'm trying to remember if Mercy was actually a creation of this show, like Harley Quinn. I think she was. Somebody correct me on this. And just like Harley Quinn, she kept being used in other things. She never caught on like Harley Quinn, obviously. She's not wearing a costume or anything. She's not spunky and bouncy. So it would be kind of weird to have like an ongoing, long-running Mercy book. Like, that never happened. But
at least she made it into BVS, right?
She made it into Smallville for 3 seasons. She's how they get around Rosenbaum not wanting to do that show anymore past his contract. Do you know about this? So she takes.
You tell me about that show is insane.
Mercy's name in Smallville is Tess Mercer. And she's brought in to take over the mansion, and they kind of play it as like, is she a bad guy? Is she not? And spoilers for that. And I like that actress a lot, but spoiler alert for that show. But she will turn out, like so many other characters, eventually to turn out to be a Luthor herself, and didn't know it. So she's Lex's sister, but nobody knows it because Lionel just cannot stop having children with different women. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, this is awkward. So, the previously on segment is after the intro. So I'm going to have to kind of figure out...
Daniel Davis, that was Tess Mercer, not Mercy Graves. Well, yeah, but it was pretty obvious that they were, looking at and then retooling that character for that show.
Wait, Tess Mercer? Like Miss Tess Mocker?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe they were also thinking of that. I don't know. I always thought it was supposed to just be a Mercy thing. Miss Tess Mocker actually shows up in the Supergirl show.
I didn't know that.
They made her a character.
Of course.
Yeah, that one's actually legitimately pretty great because she comes in as a... We'll get to this episode here in a second. She comes in as... the personal assistant for Cat Grant, and I think it's beginning of season 2 where they bring her in, if memory serves. I haven't watched that show in forever because it falls off, and I eventually came to really dislike it. But Cat Grant right away just starts screaming Miss Tessmacher like Lex did in those movies, and that's how they introduced her, and I thought that was legitimately pretty funny. Anyway, here we go. So, last part of Last Son of Krypton, and away we go. Timestamp 0. Here we go. Everybody, please press play.
Wait. Hold on.
You've had all this time.
No, I know, because the previously on segment
you gotta
is the actual episode and the theme. So I was trying to time out where exactly. So it looks like the previously on and the theme are roughly the same length. So I'm just gonna skip the theme song and just hope that it lines up perfectly.
So are you waiting until I get past the theme before you press play?
No. I am on. I just fast forwarded through the intro, and you'll have the intro while I have the previously on.
Oh, is that how that works? It should line up okay?
Roughly, yeah. While you were talking, I was kind of timing it out.
Okay, sure. Yeah, no problem. So, for anybody watching with the disc, obviously it won't be timestamp 0, and you can just try to do it the way that Austin's doing it. Busta Sim says post-intro, post-recap timestamp is 158. I could just get past the intro myself, and we could just all watch it that way, and just not watch it with the intro. And then we would definitely be lined up. So, I think I'm going to do that just to be on the safe side, guys. So, past the intro, and the timestamp is 158, apparently. Hold on. Well, no.
Weird,
no, that's not how that's going to work on mine. Okay, so if you're watching on...
about 158.
If you're watching on disc, it's 158. If you're watching on Max, like I'm doing it, Hold on. It's gonna be
May.
104? 104. Okay, here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
I can't believe I just made, what is that, like an NSYNC joke?
I don't know what that was, honestly. I
That's,
didn't.
you know that song where it's like, it's gonna be me? I don't know. Somebody in the comments will get it. It's okay.
That's ringing some sort of a bell.
If you had Cyclops' taste in music, you'd get it.
So yeah, Burnett and Dini writing this script. It's really cool how so far removed from Batman this feels, and again feels like it could be in the same world and with similar sensibilities, just in that there's so much reverence for the source material, but like in opposite ways because they're totally different things, right? And it's the same guys making both shows, and they don't feel anything like the same thing. I think there's a lot of discussion from the producers of the show about how, and Bruce Timm in particular, about how, you know, they love Fleischer and they like appreciate a lot of things about the history of Superman, but they don't love the idea of having to write this character like they did Batman, because it's not as psychologically complex and they're not sure what to do with him. And nothing about just watching the show would make you think that they had any reservations about tackling this character.
Yeah, I've heard they weren't like the biggest Superman fans when they made this show, which is really interesting because this seems to be one of those like beloved takes on the character.
They just
And
throw
a lot of the
themselves
time
in it.
you get-
They're like,
yeah.
if we're gonna do Superman, we're gonna make sure that it's Superman. It's like they make it what it is, almost in this like for them counterintuitive way where it's like, we don't even know if this is entertaining, but this what Superman is, so we made Superman.
Which is really nice because now it's.
I love the mime.
really-
I
don't
love the mime.
But I'm gonna fix him.
I forgot about this mime. That's so great. It's like I'm in a box and then an airplane shows up.
Well, that's just like classic Superman.
I was gonna say
thing.
you always
Yeah.
have to have that.
It was like Superman Returns.
Yeah.
They didn't land in a baseball diamond though.
The first episode of Supergirl does an airplane grab.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, 'cause
Which
I
is
watched the first half of the first season.
Which is the first time I found myself saying, it's weird saying this with a CW show because they got so lazy with their CG, but it was the first time that I found myself going, okay, you can make something this big for a superhero thing on TV. Like that airplane grab looked good enough. I was like, okay, I guess you can do this now. There wasn't a lot of stuff like that before that.
Because season one's not CW.
Oh, that's true. It's not. That was
Yeah.
That was NBC, wasn't it?
Yeah, whichever one it was. Our channels are different, but
No, good point. I forgot about that.
yeah, so it had a bigger budget when it was there, and then it got dropped off to.
The show got 6
CW.
seasons. I've thought of it as a CW show ever since then. I keep forgetting that was on another network.
Well, it was
Yeah.
the same creators, yeah. But no, that's definitely a thing. Because the CW's got some rough CGI, but then you know you got stuff like that Superman and Lois show looked really good. I still haven't seen past the pilot, but I've heard it continues to be really
Yeah,
good.
I keep forgetting to watch the second season. I'm just gonna wait until it all drops and I can binge it.
Yeah, I've heard stuff.
CBS, thank you. I always do that. It was not NBC, it was CBS. Of course. Duh.
Of course.
Oh, no passenger says, I could honestly tell they weren't the biggest Superman fans watching the show. Oh, interesting, okay. It seemed really in line with the take on the character in the comics, minus some of the, you know, intentional edginess with some of the stuff surrounding Superman in the comics at that time. There's a little bit of that here and there, though. You know, it doesn't feel different from Batman in the sense that, like, we've really watered it down and we can't tell, you know, stories that are about anything, that it's got to be just Superman flying around saving people. Like, there's a fair bit of that in Superman, so he should be doing that.
Oh my god, it's Superman 64.
But we do. That's great. But we do tackle some heavy stuff here and there in the show, just like we do with Batman.
Well, yeah, because Superman you can tackle like heavier stuff, but it's you just tackle it in a different way. And Superman's not the thing that's dark like that.
Exactly. Well, and
You
we've
know,
got a Lois who is kind of inherently a cynic in this, and
well, that's the way I think Lois should be handled because it gives a good kind of back and forth between the two of them.
yeah, and it helps keep him down to earth.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the fun thing to do with Superman is like really challenge him that way, but Superman's like, no, no, we can do better. And that's kind of how you get away with some of that darker stuff, where you can be more cynical, but like optimism wins in the end.
AMC Kids WB allowed much darker stories than Fox Kids did. Evidently, yeah, must have because they let him have blood on the face right away and all that.
Exactly. Superman's gonna snap Lex's neck at the end of this scene.
Well, and animation-wise, something that I meant to mention earlier. I don't know. That towel is just weirdly open in the front there, Lex. Like I don't know how you're getting away
I
with.
don't know about it.
Nobody's seeing things you don't want them to.
Did he purposely like pick out a robe that was the same color as Lois's shirt?
I had that thought too. The
He
animators
also
are
had a
having
shark in his office. Like that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. The animators are having to tackle the show differently than they did Batman, of course, because in order to get that dark look for that show, they counterintuitively did all of the cell shading on black backdrops in the first place. And of course, this show, you're not going to do that. So now the animation looks more traditional because it is.
Yeah, and then Batman tries to do more of this style later on, and it's not as good for that show.
I agree. I mean, are you talking about the
last season?
Yeah. Well, they kind of have to do that because they're asked to make it more kid-friendly and to be about the Bat family.
I'm not,
like
throwing
that's
that at them. It's
that's
just,
why they went there.
it
But
is the unfortunate thing.
yeah, I mean, they approached those like kind of two different shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they gave it another title. I mean, it's New Adventures, and you could argue they'd done that already because they renamed kind of the original series, Adventures of Batman and Robin. But like, it was the same production, and once you get into New Adventures, it's kind of a different production in some ways.
I wonder what it would have looked like if they were given some of the other like Justice League members as solo shows before they did Justice League. Like if they were to do a Wonder Woman show, or Green Lantern, or Aquaman, or Flash, like how those would have been.
I forgot Bibbo was here from the very beginning. Whenever I go back to this pilot, I'm always blindsided by that. But yeah, that was an invention of late 80s, early 90s Superman stuff. And he's in Death of Superman, of course. But yeah, one of the few things that's like real recent that they get into the show from the beginning.
Do they do Doomsday in the show?
No, they don't do that until Justice League.
Okay.
And they handle it very differently, and it's not. It doesn't kill Superman, of course.
Mm. It destroys Superman.
No. No, the way they do that is kind of interesting.
Well, now you got Popeye here.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool because
Bibbo does kind of look like Popeye.
Josh was telling me that Superman was Popeye was one of the big inspirations for Superman in the first place.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Fidelio, yeah, this has a lot of John Byrne in it. Yeah, yes, of course. Oh, and I forgot that we had Metallo this early, too. Or setting up Metallo. I don't know if he actually turns into Metallo this early, or if we're just introducing this character.
Oh, it's Whistler. I'm like, this guy was in the Morbius episodes that we did. Who was he?
Yeah,
It was
so
Whistler.
that is Malcolm McDowell.
Oh, it is Malcolm McDowell. You know, maybe it's not Whistler. Maybe I just had that like mixed up. 'Cause I don't think Whistler is Malcolm McDowell. And
There was somebody in something we did recently that was Malcolm McDowell, so maybe that was I can't remember.
I can't
But
believe
I think McDowell is in those Spider-Man episodes.
Malcolm McDowell's the man. He's my favorite Star Trek villain.
Daniel says Mattel happens in episode 7. I thought that got its own episode, so we're just establishing that character early. Another thing that the show has, or that's a departure with the show from Batman, is that there's more of a sense of continuity very early on, where like they're setting up things they're going to deal with later on, and Batman was much more episodic early on, because they were flying so much by the seat of their pants. So, like, this is a much more fully realized concept and character and series overall from the beginning.
That's so interesting because Batman's like the big thing they wanted to do, and Superman was like, we're doing Superman. It's really interesting that that's how both of those shows kind of ended up. I always assumed the other shows were like Batman, where it was just kind of like random episodic stuff that could just kind of go anywhere.
Yeah. This is not like that. This has much more of a clear sequence. And don't get me wrong, I mean, it's mostly standalone, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a little
Guy,
bit...
how are you going to shoot her if your eyes aren't open? Sorry,
He's just that good.
Yeah.
Another classic situation that you always have to have when you're introducing a new Superman, just to showcase the bulletproof thing.
Fidello asks if you've ever covered A Clockwork Orange. When's the commentary for that coming, Cap?
I'll get back to you. Josh, what I like is the show is a mix between pre-crisis Superman and post-crisis Superman. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I see more burn and post-burn than anything, but like in just the real traditional classic stuff, like he's got to, well, just the attitude of Superman is a real Silver Age kind of attitude.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Certainly.
Josh's been reading a lot of like classic Superman stuff recently. Like he was just telling me the other day that he read the first appearance of Crypto, and like a lot of that kind of old Silver Age Superman.
Yeah, and possibly even some Golden Age. I don't know how far back he went, but
Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, I've
Probably
not read
some of that.
very little of that era.
Yeah, and I've read very little Superman in general. Superman's one of those characters where I'm like, I really need to read more Superman. But I mean, like we said at the beginning of this, I'd seen very little Superman until we started hanging out.
Well, I'm glad you're liking it, because a lot of this is stuff that I meant to do commentaries on a lot, or more, review on a lot earlier, and just never got to them.
Well, and it's like crazy that I haven't watched any of the other DCAU shows.
So yeah, the structure of this, even though obviously the story is different, is actually more or less exactly the Donner movie,
Yeah.
with the exception of Superman like talking to Jor-El in the fortress. Teenager up to adult. Like, we don't do that whole thing. But as far as how much time we spend on each period, it's pretty similar, right? Like, your whole first act is Krypton. You blow up Krypton, and then you have a real short period just to establish Clark, like, learning about his powers and also his limitations and all of that. That's Donner. Limitations not as much with this. But then we don't spend that whole second episode on Krypton. We immediately, after just a few minutes of that, fast forward to, and now he's becoming Superman. We get to that already in your second act. So that's exactly Donner. And then third act is Lex Luthor has some kind of plot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then your next episode will be half made, and then they'll replace the animators.
Exactly. And then the new animators will start just adding in crazy random powers for no reason. And all that consistency that I'm talking about will just go right out the window.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if Superman doesn't throw an S off of his chest to capture a bad guy in the show, I will probably riot.
Draven, imagine if this show had to do Electric Blue Superman. I mean, there's a part of me that would have loved to see them tackle that, but no, I'm kind of glad they didn't. I'm glad that they more or less kind of, well, I was going to say they more or less stick to the more kind of timeless stuff, and they're not too worried about doing like whatever the most recent popular thing is. There are sort of some exceptions to that. Just like with Batman, they go to mid-late 80s stuff a lot. They're looking at the same period with Superman as they were with Batman when they were adapting so much of the Englehart stuff. So Superman, they'll go to Silver Banshee, who had a lot of appearances in the comics like 7 or 8 years before this, and stuff like that. No, I'm thinking of Livewire. Do they do Banshee in this show? Maybe they don't. I can't remember now. Somebody tell me. I can't remember if Silver Banshee's in this show. I'm pretty sure she shows up somewhere in DCAU. Anyway, we decided to do this on a whim. I am rusty on the show. Good night, Razzie, man. Thanks for being here, man. Fidelio, even this is a great point, and this is what I should have said. Even when they take popular stuff at the time, they make it timeless. I agree with that. And then you get stuff like Lobo that is handled like where it feels kind of dated and exactly the way it has to. Like Lobo is a product of a time, and he's always got to be like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, exactly.
Stop pointing at me. God, Lex, stop it. And the shark in the tank is, it's the most obvious possible metaphor, but it's wonderful. It's like, we get it. You're a mogul. You're a shark.
Yeah, with stuff like the Superman blue design thing, I don't know, like, Superman, I think, more so than Batman, because Batman can have different designs. Superman's just got such a perfect design that, like, I don't think you should mess with it. Like, I don't know, it's just perfect. Like, Batman, I think you can kind of do different stuff with it. Like, obviously I think of the kind of blue, gray, yellow circle. Like, that's what I think of when I close my eyes and think Batman. But, like, there's different stuff that you can do kind of outside of that, and I still go, okay, like, that's Batman. Superman is just, I mean, it's this.
Well, and I like that as a reflection of the character, right? Where, like, Batman, we always talk about how there's, like, 1,000,001 different versions that you can do of that character, where you can make him really campy, you can make him really dark, and everything in between. And there's just a couple of, like, kind of elemental things you always have to have. And so his costume kind of reflects that. You can keep monkeying with it. The Superman is the opposite of that. There's kind of one right way to do that character. And
no, you take the red trunks off of his suit, and just, like, instantly it's like, it's worse now.
And I mean, there's slight variations in between. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that there's not a lot of different writers that haven't had, like, really valid takes on Superman. But he's not like Batman in that sense, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
And if memory serves, this is just our way to bookend this and go, we didn't forget about Brainiac. Don't worry, you guys, he's coming.
I'm more horrified by those things than Brainiac. I'm glad they're going to be dead.
That reminds me of some alien designs from, again, early 90s Superman comics
Whoa,
with
that
some of the
just went
Jurgen
like
stuff.
full Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it's like purple blood, but they still just had blood splatter. Like,
No, it's
that's
great.
nuts. That's
And
awesome.
again, that's these guys assuring us that this isn't just a kiddie show. You know, that like we've got your, you know, hopeful and you know, we've got your hopeful Superman. He is optimistic. He stands for truth and justice, everything Superman's supposed to stand for. But he lives in a world where bad crap happens to people.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
wonderful.
That's what Superman should be like.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the show will go a lot farther in how rough it allows itself to get than Batman does, and that juxtaposition is exactly right. It's just what it should be. Wait till we kill off Dan Turpin, man. Like, that stuff is awesome that they were allowed to go that far. We talked over it, but I remember the writing in that scene with Lex and Superman being really good, and you've always got to have that scene when they first meet too, right? Where Superman shows up in his office and has the like "I'm on to you" kind of speech, and then Lex lays out why he hates the alien.
I could turn you into a stain on the pavement, Lex, but I won't.
Well, anyway, Buzzim said those aliens were filled with pie. This is an absolute blast, and Austin, we should come back and do a mini marathon on this show at some point. Watch some more episodes.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully, I'll have the Blu-ray set by then. Because DVDs look not the best quality on these, but it's all right.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well,
great show.
You got to watch it, and
and it's the first time I've ever seen this. It was very good.
Well, we didn't talk a lot about the animation, but it's just wonderful, and again, the consistency of that is spectacular. Like, they might have gone above and beyond for this pilot, where it's ramped up a little bit more than some of the individual episodes, but that's not how I remember. I remember the show always like looking, surprisingly cinematic.
Well, I'm sure they like cropped out those 3 episodes for a VHS release too.
I'm pretty sure they did that.
Get one of those where it's like, it's Superman the movie.
Well, anyway, thanks to everybody for watching. Hope you had a good time with us. We certainly had fun, and we will see you again. Like I said, I'll be back. Captain Logan show on Thursday, and then I'll be back on Friday with a fun art stream with Ty. We're just gonna mess around, draw some pictures, and let you guys make some requests. And then for Ty, if you make a request for me, it'll be like, what shape do you want me to draw with? Because I'm doing abstract things.
I want a circle. Well, got an oval.
I don't mean I'm gonna make just a circle. Anyway, I'll show you the silly crap I'm drawing. But I'll see you guys again hopefully real soon, and we might be also doing a movie review on Sunday for a new movie in the theater. What is that movie called, Austin?
Everything
Everywhere,
All at Once.
All at Once, that's what that's called. I've been really wanting to see that because Austin and other people have told me that it was tailor-made apparently for my sensibilities, and I saw the previews and was like, oh, okay, so multiverse is just the new time travel, right? Everybody's got to do that.
Which is what I did. I watched the trailer, went, ugh, even the A24 has to do their multiverse movie.
Yeah.
And Josh was like, I think that movie's going to be really cool. Like, I know those creators, that's not what they're going to do. They're going to do something more, like, personal. And I was like, I don't know. I watched that trailer. I don't know. And then I was like, whatever. He told me to watch this movie called X in the theater that was also A24. I didn't know anything about it. I just went, okay, you told me it's good. I'll go see it. It was like one of the best movies I've seen this year.
Wow.
It was like, okay, I'll go see this Everything Everywhere All at Once. Also one of the best movies I've seen this year.
It's crazy. So anyway, I'm going to try to make time to see that. I've got kind of a crazy schedule this weekend, but if I can, we're going to talk about it Sunday night. So anyway, thanks a lot for being here, folks, and we'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan, and there was Austin the Day Ghost.